how do you deal with PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder with the Qi Coil? Now, there's many people with different psychological tricks and methods, but the one that worked for me is something very simple. So many people, they want you to go back in the time that caused the distress and trauma and relive that moment and enough time so it desensitizes you to that moment. I don't really like that method because it's really stressful and it causes more stress. So what I'd rather do is to replace those negative emotions with positive emotions. So turn whatever anger, it could be fear, it could be anxiety, panic, whatever that caused that trauma in your life, loss, right? Whatever it is that caused that trauma, is to turn that negative emotion into a positive emotion. Because your brain is much easier to create new wiring than to undo existing wiring. All right, let me repeat that. Your brain has been wired. And if it's been wired in a negative way, let's say with a negative emotion, let's say a trauma, is a negative wiring, it's much harder for you to undo that wiring that's already been there than to create new wiring. New wiring is much easier to create in your mind than to undo old wiring, okay? So what I'd like you to do is to transform your negative emotions into positive emotions. So how do you do that, right? Well, one thing to do is just remember that incident. Whenever that incident comes up, don't even try to remember it. When it does come up, when that trauma comes up, then use the Qi Coil. Go to the abundance, remove blockages frequency, okay? And then play the all mix, or any one of them A to I. You have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. You can try any of those. And then you will automatically feel less stressed about that situation. And you will automatically feel less traumatic from that situation. So you do that, and now you create new wiring so that whenever that thought and that memory comes back, you program yourself to feel good instead of feeling all the negative stuff that you felt during that trauma. You don't want to relive those events. You don't want to experience those events in your life, because what it does, it reinforces that negative trauma if you keep experiencing those negative feelings during that event. So you don't want that. What you want is to create new feelings and new experiences that are connected to any memory or anything that triggers that trauma in your life. Okay? And what you do with that is you want to use the Qi Coil for that. Another thing you can do is to write down maybe one or two things that make you happy. For example, what makes me happy is thinking about my dogs. Right? Who has dogs here? Right? Who loves their dogs, right? If you just look at a picture of a dog, you feel happy. Or you just look at a picture that's something you like, you feel happy. So find one or two of those things that always make you happy, or very, very easily make you happy. Maybe someone that you care about, maybe somebody, or a comedian, or a funny comic book character, or a cartoon that makes you happy. So what you want to do is whenever that trauma comes up and that triggers, purposely think about your dog, or think about that thing, so that you convert that negative experience into a positive experience. So now you rewire your brain to deal with that PTSD, that traumatic situation. Rewire it so that it now becomes a positive thing and becomes a happy experience, because your mind doesn't know the difference of what a bad experience or a good experience. All it knows is just the reaction and the chemical reaction that happens. Does it trigger negative emotions? Does it trigger fear? Does it trigger panic? Or does it trigger happiness? And does it trigger laughter, right? The brain doesn't know the difference. All it has is just the wiring. So if you can just reprogram, change the code in your brain, then you can basically change your experience, change your experience of your life. You can change the experience of your past, you can change the experience of your present and your future, okay? And the Qi Coil will help you do that, because these frequencies actually help program you to feel better, help you program you to be more happy and to be more relaxed. So the more you use this, then the more happy you become, the better mood you become generally. So I hope this helps you, and I hope this transforms your life. And this is how you use the Qi Coil to overcome PTSD or post-traumatic stress syndrome.